Joining us now, Fox News contributor, senior editor at The Federalist, Molly Hemingway is with us. Fox News contributor, former Clinton pollster Doug Schoen, Washington Times columnist Monica Crowley is with us. You know, Monica, you think back, for example, I supported John McCain when he ran for president, when it mattered. And because I thought he'd be the better president, I think it was proven correct in the end. All those people that viciously attacked him, it was like they were his best friend. And we see it now with George Herbert Walker Bush. We saw it with Ronald Reagan. It's like a phenomenon. They'll try and bludgeon you when you're alive, and then now that you're no longer a political threat, you were the greatest person that ever lived.
Yeah, you know, Sean, death enhances the memory of almost everybody, but it's particularly striking when a Republican politician or president passes away, and then the mainstream media, which relentlessly pounded that Republican politician during his or her time in office, then suddenly they're a saint. I think in the case of President Trump, the mainstream media will use any cudgel to try to pound the president into the ground. You mentioned Senator McCain when he passed. They certainly did it then. They're doing it now. And, you know, I wrote a column for Spectator USA today talking about how President Nixon essentially launched President Bush into as a national figure when he chose to take George H.W. Bush, after he lost a Senate campaign, and made him UN ambassador. And I think that lesson, too, Sean, is that these positions require heavyweights like George H.W. Bush at the UN. And that's why I hope President Trump will choose Rick Grinnell for that position. But whether it's Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Senator McCain, George H.W. Bush, you see revisionism aplenty when they pass away.
Yeah, Molly, thanks for joining us. I just want to get your thoughts on it. It is a bit of a phenomenon, though. And to me, there's just phoniness about it. Like, for example, I didn't care that John McCain, when he came back after his surgery, said, these guys on talk radio and cable, said, hell with them. I'm cool with that. You know, he kind of liked me when he was running for president and liked those outlets when he was running. I didn't take it personally. But this is so overwhelmingly transparent to me.
And it is particularly phony in the case of President George H.W. Bush. You know, there's this issue where the only good Republican is a Republican who's not a threat. So we saw a pretty quick change in media coverage of President George H.W. Bush from when he was president to the moment Clinton defeated him. But when he was a candidate, when he was vice president, when he was when he was president, the media coverage was vicious. And they called him a wimp. That was the headline. That was the cover of Newsweek magazine. So to say today, oh, he was so kind and it was so respectable. Well, this was the same media that was decrying him for his personal traits. They lied about him, about his reaction to a supermarket scanner, which is something that the New York Times not only never corrected, they repeated it just yesterday. And his media coverage was so bad that his primary campaign bumper sticker when he ran for re-election was, "Annoy the media, re-elect Bush." To say that he did not run a campaign against the media is just wrong. And so people are rewriting history here in a way that is not okay.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that's so amazing, it was a lifetime of service. That was the greatest generation, Doug Schoen, and my father also signed up. He served in the Navy as well. And look, we look at this, and it's like you're literally hearing people, this is the death of a really honorable human being that served his country his whole adult life. And a lot of those same people weren't nice to him during life. But now, he's the nice one, and now they'll use that to bludgeon Trump because they don't like President Trump.
Well, look, I think that's ridiculous. I speak as a Democrat. I look at...
Well, it's not you, and I don't put you in the category of the average snowflake Democrat, to be honest.
I'm not, but I want to say one other thing about George H.W. Bush that is bipartisan and I think transcendent in importance. He, more than any single individual, was responsible for the fall of the Soviet Union, the fall of the wall, the end of communism in Eastern and Central Europe. And if we as Democrats and Republicans can't celebrate that now, there's something wrong with us, and hope that President Trump in his foreign policy has a similar success.
Listen, I would argue real quick, Monica, the policies of President Trump on regulation, on taxes, on justices and judges on the courts, on the wall even, peace through strength, standing up to our enemies, identifying evil for what it is. pretty similar to what President Reagan and President Bush also stood for.
Yes, 100%, which is part of the reason why the mainstream media and others who oppose President Trump oppose him. But they mostly oppose him, Sean, based on style. They are repulsed by him. They consider him a vulgarian, and they reject his style, and they loathe him in every way. But his policies are quite popular. He's delivering a booming economy and a stronger military and a stronger international position, and the American voters agree with that and support it.
You know, shocking, Molly, I'll give you the last word. We have about 25 seconds. That every president has their own style, and sometimes the moment calls for, like I would argue this one, disruptive. Yeah, Donald Trump breaks a few dishes, but things are getting done, and we needed them to get done.
Well, and it's okay for different presidents to have different styles. It's disrespectful in this media coverage of President George H.W. Bush's death to make it all about Trump. They're two different people, and it does a disservice to both of them, and it manages to be disrespectful to both of them.
All right. Thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it.